Have you seen The Idea of You with Anne Hathaway and Nicholas Galitzine on Amazon Video yet? Well, I have one of the stars, Brent Bailey, on this week's Diaries. Plus, more trouble for Britney Spears and Prince Harry's royal olive branch. These are my LA Diaries. It's been a tough few weeks for Britney Spears, back in the headlines for all the wrong reasons. First, she settled with her dad in court, Jamie Spears. Britney did not get a dime from Jamie, in part because everything Jamie did was technically court approved. But she really felt like he took advantage of her financially throughout her 13-year conservatorship. And while her attorney framed it as a win, Britney found this outcome incredibly defeating. When all was said and done, it was Britney that had to pay millions of dollars for her father's attorney's fees. Cut to Wednesday night, a nightmare repeat, giving us Britney 2007 vibes. Spears had an incident that involved her current boyfriend at the famous Chateau Marmont Hotel in Hollywood. Witnesses say she got into a heated argument with her boyfriend, who is, in my personal opinion, totally gross and unworthy of her, but I digress. And she ended up out of control, sobbing, and almost driven away in an ambulance. A fellow hotel guest called police, claiming a woman matching Britney's description was harassing and threatening hotel employees and guests. That happened at 10 p.m. Around midnight, a second call was made about a mental breakdown. As the ambulance arrived, responding to that call, Britney was leaving the hotel with her bodyguards and declined their help. It's worth noting that she was leaving alone without her boyfriend. She was clutching a pillow, had a blanket wrapped around her, and was sobbing. On Thursday, Britney finalized her divorce from, blink and you'll miss him, husband number, technically it's 3. I don't even bother to say his name anymore because we all know why he was married to her, his 15 minutes. According to TMZ, sources around Britney have been concerned that the pop star is in serious danger, mentally and financially. TMZ believes her circumstances have declined significantly since she was released from her conservatorship. The same sources say that Britney has become completely dysfunctional. Since the conservatorship ended, she has had no supervision. They say she has radical mood swings and has been described as totally isolated and dangerously unstable. One individual told TMZ she had lots of freedom in the conservatorship and the restrictions were there to protect her. She's not protected anymore, which I don't know if I 100% agree with, because if they were really bugging her home and things like that, that was unnecessary. Look, I know everyone's heart was in the right place throughout the Free Britney movement, but the results of Britney's freedom are no secret. There is serious concern in Hollywood, all over the world, about Britney. Jamie Spears was not the best person to manage Britney's life, but perhaps someone else should step in, not to bully her or squash her sweet spirit, but to help her navigate the world under her unique circumstances. Britney vacations regularly on a private jet, stays in presidential suites, spending between $300,000 and $1 million a trip. And according to acquaintances, they believe she's in danger of going broke. They say she goes to Hawaii at least once a month. Britney refuses to work. She associates work with alleged abuse by her father, which is terrible because she is an incredibly talented performer. I hope we aren't seeing another spiral. It really feels like Britney has no friends, but she does have yucky men that attach themselves to her with ulterior motives. Maybe someone like her old friend Felicia could reconnect and help her through this difficult time. Britney seems like a good person, but a lost soul, lonely and bored. And she has so many people rooting for her. So it's just really defeating to watch how this is all unfolded. Do you think Britney Spears needs a friend right now? Let me know in the comments below. Prince Harry will be returning to the UK next week for a ceremony of Thanksgiving marking the 10th anniversary of the Invictus Games. The service will take place at St. Paul's Cathedral in London on May 8th, but neither Meghan Markle nor any senior members of the royal family are expected to attend. You know all of this. But now, Page 6 is reporting that Prince Harry has offered an olive branch to King Charles and Prince William in the form of an invitation to the Invictus celebration at St. Paul's Cathedral next week. And I hate to break it to Page 6, but that's the most self-serving olive branch I've ever heard in my life. That's not an olive branch, guys. That's a PR stunt. Page 6 says a well-placed London socialite who knows the brothers confirmed that Harry had invited William as well as other members of the royal family to the event to honor the veterans charity he founded. Unfortunately for Harry, he's quote unquote not getting much response. New phone, who dis? Can you blame them? I do think we could see Princess Beatrice or Princess Eugenie at the event. Do you think we could be surprised by the presence of a member of the royal family? I would pay good money for a Queen Camilla sighting. The same Camilla that Harry said was dangerous, prepared to leave bodies on the street and sacrificed him for her own PR and Spare, the book where Harry sacrificed his entire family for PR and moolah. So, any potential royal sightings? Let me know in the comments below. Available to stream now, The Idea of You is a romantic comedy based. First of all, I don't even know why I'm saying this because you know what The Idea of You is. Everyone is talking about The Idea of You. I can't wait to see how much this movie blows up, but it's available to stream now. The Idea of You is a romantic comedy based on the novel of the same name by Robin Lee. It stars Anne Hathaway and Nicholas Galitzine and follows the steamy romance between a single mom in her 40s and a 20-something-year-old lead singer of a boy band. Can I just tell you that I have never in my life lived harder vicariously through a character more than Anne Hathaway's in this movie. I really loved the film. I liked the book. I loved the movie. And the best part, my friend Brent Bailey is in it. So I had to talk to him all about the process and what it was like working with Anne Hathaway. Take a look. Hi all, Kinsey Schofield here. I'm with actor, writer, and producer Brent Bailey. Brent, I was thinking about the last time I saw you. We were both in our 20s, and for a second, I died inside. But Anne Hathaway has taught me that life begins at 40, thanks to The Idea of You. Congratulations on the film. This must be so cool.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's always fun when movies come out, but when a movie comes out with like this kind of cast and a director like Michael Showalter, it's a little bit more exciting.
Right. Okay. So I haven't seen you in years, I'll be honest, but I follow you very closely. I'm so proud of you. And every time I see you, whether it's on like a billboard in Los Angeles or you pop up on the morning show, I let everyone in the room know that you're my friend. So congratulations on all of your success. We have such a good human in common in Harley J.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it's been so fun to watch you because I definitely remember you just coming to LA. I
yeah.
you were so green. We all were. We were kids, but you have without a doubt been one of the ones to rise the highest throughout our time in LA. So it's been so cool to see all of your success and how humble you are. You post thanking the people that helped get you there constantly, and you're just clearly so grateful and you enjoy the ride. So
Thank
I
you.
guess that's just my butt kissing moment. So I
No,
guess
I appreciate it. Thank you. It's very kind.
well, I really loved The Idea of You. And we're getting slammed left and right with streaming content, to the point
Yeah,
where sometimes the credits start rolling and you go, I want those 2 hours back. I wanted to watch this movie again when it was over.
that's
Um,
awesome.
did you get the idea? Was there that kind of like magic on set that you were working on something that was really good?
I mean, that's a great question. I don't think you ever really know how it's going to turn out. I mean, I know that, I was obviously only on set for 2 days because I just have that one scene with Annie, but you could tell that something great was being made. It was very collaborative. We improved for, probably like 3 or 4 hours. So obviously, like what ends up making it onto the screen is so much smaller than what it was that you actually shot. But you could just tell like she cared so much about it. Michael is so talented and cared so much about it. And everybody that was involved is so good at their job that you knew they were on the right track. It was just a matter of if the fans and the audience agreed with it or appreciated it or took it in for what it was. And luckily, it seems like everybody's loving it. I got multiple people that said they watched it twice this morning already. So that's
Oh,
crazy.
I'm 100% watching it again. So like that's not off the table. I'm busy right
Yeah.
now, going to do it again. That's funny that you said you improv for several hours because
Oh
I
yeah.
I watched an interview with you where you talked about when you started to audition and how kind of nervous that was for you. There was like one particular audition where you had to put your eye through a peephole and pretend like your eyeball had been ripped out, and you were like, I can't do that. Like there are too many people in this room. That seems silly. So obviously there's been an evolution in your comfort level if you're able to
Oh,
improv for so long. So that
absolutely.
and Annie and Anne is she comfortable? Is she fun to improv with?
She's incredible. I mean, at the very beginning, obviously, I've met her once before. I was at a screening. I think it was the movie she did called Rachel Getting Married, and I got to briefly go up and say like, "Hey, you did a wonderful job. Nice to meet you." But this was the first time we were ever working together and sharing the screen together. So there is something intimidating about that, just because she is incredible. And I also don't want to disappoint Michael, but they cultivated such an easy atmosphere that like Michael would come out from the video village and just be like, let's try this. And then we would start with a whole new scenario and he'd be like, great, let's try this. And we just kind of like we're spitballing back and forth. And she's so present and so good at what she does that it made my job even easier, which was awesome.
I probably skipped because I was just so excited to talk to you. But this movie is, well, I guess I thought it was going to be kind of lusty. I thought it was going to be about an older woman with a child that falls in love with, oh, because I love the book,
Right.
And first of all, this is one of those rare instances where the movie is better than the book. Um,
Yeah.
but I thought that it would be kind of lusty and really just this love story, but it's actually much deeper than that. It's about, recovering from real hurt and
Right.
betrayal and evolving and growing up and putting others before yourself. She makes a really tough decision and you feel so deeply for her. When you found out about the film, were you under the impression that it was going to be more like the book, or did you immediately have the script and get a sense of what it was going to be like?
No, I did not. I did not have the script. I knew that it was based on the book, and I was familiar with the book, and so I assumed that it would be generally following the same guidelines that they were set. It actually did go on to create the ending that's not in the book, which luckily, I mean, anytime you do that, it's a risk, but luckily everybody is thrilled about. Well, I mean, for the most part, what I've seen is resoundingly thrilled.
Yeah.
But no, I kind of came in, especially at the beginning of the project. I auditioned. I sent in my tape. I auditioned for all three of the guys that were trying to date her, and then I kind of forgot all about it. I was working on something else, and then I got a call that I booked it, and I was like, "Wait, really?" And they're like, "Yeah, like you're gonna go work with Anne Hathaway and Michael Showalter." And I was like, "Oh, this is amazing!" So I flew out to Atlanta, and we shot for a few days. But I was just kind of along for the ride. I didn't know exactly what to expect. I knew my lines, and I had no clue that they were going to take such liberties. Since it was based on a book, I was like, "Oh, this is going to stay pretty by the book." But they used the book as like a good baseline, and then created something I think really wonderful from it, which was so cool.
You do a lot of shooting in Atlanta. Am I wrong?
Atlanta's kind of a hotspot now. I shoot
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
I've shot in Atlanta a couple times. That's where I shot Doom Patrol, and I think I've shot a couple other things there. But I've also, I mean, they shoot a lot in New Orleans. I've
Yes.
shot in Hawaii. I've shot in Dubai. I've shot in Canada. I just recently shot in Texas. So it's the whole movie and like entertainment business has like shifted into such a large scale. It's almost more rare that I audition for things now that I actually shoot in Los Angeles, which is sort of strange to say.
I know. What a weird world we live in. How many auditions do you do on Zoom or on camera versus in person today?
So the like commercials have pretty much gone back to mostly in the room. Every once in a while we'll do those on Zoom. But as far as like TV and film goes, my last few roles that I've booked and shot have come purely off self-tape. So I don't interact with anybody. I literally just have, my studio and I do a tape, I send it off, and then if you get it, you get it. If you don't, you never think about it again. But it's usually just like my girlfriend reading with me or a buddy reading with me, and you don't really get to have that interaction in the room anymore with like the casting director. And when you walk in and you see 15 other guys that look just like you, and then you have to listen to their audition and then be like, oh gosh, I was going to do it that way. Should I do it different now? Or the opposite, be like, I was not going to do it that way. Am I reading this wrong?
Yeah.
So like, there are some parts of it that I really like. I think it's taken a lot of the pressure off, but then some of the aspects I think I miss. So it's a bit of a catch-22.
I am going to be honest. I really hoped that you had auditioned for the part of a member of the boy band, just maybe one of the other guys doing the choreography.
Yeah, that would have been amazing. Obviously, I'm way too old, but after I watched the movie, and listen, I'm grateful to be in something like this in any aspect. But I at the end, I was like, oh man, I wish I auditioned to be the ex-husband.
Oh, yes, that would have been so good.
It would have been a fun role because he gets to be the villain of the story, and you have to have him in there. But even when you're like just like the morning show, there is something exciting and fun about playing these terrible people that have to be there to help move the story along and help, I guess, make everybody realize how terrible they are.
That's
Uh,
right.
but that was the only one that afterwards I was like, I mean, if I was 20 years younger, obviously I wanted to be Hayes, but I'm realistic about the fact that I am 40. So I was more suited to actually be, Annie's age. And it wouldn't have been crazy if we did go on a date in the movie, which is sort of what the movie talks about too, is like the double standards between dating with men and women, and how like it's okay for some reason for men to date younger women, but not for women to date younger men. And like the hypocrisy behind all of it.
And is this the first time you've had a film at South by Southwest or no?
Yeah, at least as far as I'm aware, this is the first time, and that was one of the reasons I was really excited about going, because I was like, I don't typically go to film festivals unless I have a movie there, just because it is a pretty big commitment, especially since it's not in Los Angeles. So this was the first one I knew of that was going to be at South by, and so I reached out and I was like, hey, I'd love to participate if you guys would like to have me. And they were like, yeah, of course, like come to the party, because there was an after party, which was awesome. And they're like, you can walk the red carpet, you can hang out with Annie and everybody, and you get to see the movie before it comes out. So that was awesome.
And you saw that reaction, right? I mean,
Oh,
everybody like
it was
you
awesome.
guys brought the house down. I believe I saw Anne crying because she was so
Yeah.
emotional over the positive response.
Yeah, I actually feel really grateful. Amazon is so kind, and so when I first had reached out, I was like, I'd love to see the movie, and they're like, well, why don't you just come to the studio and like watch the movie? And I was like, great. So I went to the Culver Studios, which is down the street from my house, and I got to watch it with my girlfriend, and we saw it with like four other people, and I was like, that was really good. I really enjoyed that movie, but then at South by, it was just an entirely different experience because the fans lost their mind, like especially on the first kiss. It
Yeah.
was like the theater erupted, and it was so cool to have that experience in a room where nobody else had seen it, and everybody was so excited about it. And I think that was one of the things that I've even heard Annie on other interviews, and she's like, this reminds me of Princess Diaries, and like the kind of response that film got. And she says it's a beautiful thing when it happens, and I've seen moved to tears on quite a few interviews about this movie, because I think it's a really special one for her, and she's just so excited that everybody loves it as much as she enjoyed making it.
Well, as you can imagine, I do love Princess Diaries. I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but you're also a writer and producer. Can you talk
Yeah,
me around the thought of taking somebody's work, a book that is commercially successful, and
right.
trying to write a movie around that? Like if you were given that role, would that terrify you? Would you be as courageous to make some of these changes that they did? Because this is something you do.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I haven't ever been in that position. I think the closest thing that I experienced was I was in LBJ with Woody Harrelson. Rob Reiner directed it, and I was playing Ted Sorensen, who's a real person. And at the beginning, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to like go through the archives and like figure out who this person was, because I don't want to do something that like he would have never done, or I don't want to act in a way that's not authentic to him. And then I realized very quickly that like you can go down that road. I've never been as much like a method actor, so I was like, I can also just do my interpretation of it. And I think after I settled with it and realized I got the job because they liked what I did, so I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. And I think if I ever got asked to adapt a book, I would again assume that they know kind of my brand, who I am, and so they're asking me because they want my version of it. So while it would be nerve-wracking to do it, I think that the real scary part is how it's received by the audiences. The writing of the script's not so bad, the filming of the movie's probably not that bad, but then like waiting to see, does everybody agree with my interpretation? That's where it gets really scary.
And what do you have coming up next? Can you talk to me about that at all?
I just got done shooting an episode of Lincoln Lawyer,
Oh,
So
wow.
I'm
Great
really
job.
excited. Yeah, thank you. And then I also got to shoot. I was in Austin again. It was weird. I went to Austin for South by Southwest and then immediately went from South by Southwest to shooting an episode of Walker. So I just stayed in
Yeah.
Austin and I just went back again to shoot a commercial last week. But yeah, I think other than Walker and Lincoln Lawyer, I think that's all I have in post production, but don't quote me on that. And then commercials.
Well, congratulations on all your success, Brent. I'm so proud of you because this town is so hard. It's,
Yeah.
it is hard to stay committed and you have to make a lot of sacrifices to do what you love. So, congratulations. And I am always cheering for you.
Thank you. And thanks for having me. This was fun.
Even when you're the bad guy in the morning show, I'm looking around at everyone going, he's really not like that. He's actually very nice.
That was a tough role to play because they even cut a few things on that show that made that guy worse. And Greta could tell on the first couple takes that I was a little uncomfortable just because some of the stuff I was saying. And she pulled me to the side and she was like, "Hey, you got hired because you're a good guy and you're nice, and we know that you're nice. So you can be as mean and awful as you want on camera." And I was like, okay. So she really gave me that freedom and helped me a lot with that role.
That's amazing. All right. Oh, quickly, how can people keep up with you?
I'm terrible at the social media, but I do have Instagram at Brent M. Bailey. And yeah, that's pretty much the only one I'm active on. I have an X or a Twitter, but I don't ever do anything on it. So pretty much just Instagram.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you so much for your time, Brent.
Thank you.
Have you watched The Idea of You yet? Did you enjoy the shark ending? Oh my gosh. Let me know in the comments below. You can now find Kinsey's LA Diaries on the Kinsey Schofield Unfiltered YouTube channel. It's new, so make sure you like, subscribe, and tell your friends to come join the party. Thanks for watching. I'm Kinsey Schofield.